Ising, this is Karis, and this is Rishi. Today we're presenting on the mistreatment and abuse of construction workers, and we call it Building Bridges. Construction workers, very similar to our ancestors from China and India, they come to Singapore in the hope that their income in Singapore will benefit their country back in their hometown. Next, I'll show you guys a video called Migrant Dreams. This follows a migrant worker who was abused and mistreated by his employer.
Unlike many of his other colleagues, Abu Sama Nurul Islam had chosen to remain with his company. He'd been asking the operations manager of Ocean Marine to pay him the 4-month salary he's owed.
Do you notice that this construction worker in this video repeatedly emphasized that he was owed 4 months of salary? These 4 months of salary holds huge significance to the construction worker. These 4 months of salary, of not receiving their salary, equates to his family not having income, as migrant workers more often than not are the sole breadwinner of his family. You may say that this guy in the video is just a one-off case, but do you know that up to 51.4% of construction workers who approach volunteers actually complain of wage-related issues? Employers in Singapore continue to find loopholes in the system. They seek unlawful deduction of their pay and sometimes not giving them their lawfully overtime pay. Wage issues is not the only exploitation migrant workers faces. Their living conditions are untidy and filthy, sometimes even compromising their safety and well-being. Just look at these images. Those clogged toilets and those bed bug-ridden mattresses. I doubt any one of us in this classroom will be able to tolerate such conditions. Deportations. When migrant workers actually complain about their mistreatment, they are often threatened with deportation. In some cases, where the migrant workers continue to press their charges, their work permit is immediately revoked and they are sent home immediately. Their dreams of becoming rich back in their hometown is impossible. Some of them even return back to their hometown with huge debt due to the high interest loan they took out from their recruitment agency. Our group realized that the reason why migrant workers face such mistreatment and abuse is because they lack the education on their basic rights. We realized us undergraduates can help them through interacting with them.
Wait, hold on, you said us undergraduates. If the exploitation has only got to do with the migrant workers or construction workers and their employers, what has it got to do with us? Why should we care? So, now I want all of you to imagine with me that all of you are standing under sweltering heat. All of you are wearing long jeans, the same ones that you have worn for years. And on top of your shirt, you wear a green neon vest. On your head you wear a yellow helmet. And you're wearing these big black bulky boots, and with every step you take, you perspire just a little more. You have friends, you have many friends. And today, you are back on the same road that you have been 3 months ago, doing the same thing, drilling, digging, lifting, just so that the MRT track can be built. It is not even lunchtime, but all of you are so hungry, so tired, and so beaten down. But you continue to encourage yourself to push on and remind yourself that your family at home needs the money. And that is just a glimpse of what a migrant worker can experience in a day at work. And what you guys have just done is to practice empathy. When we put ourselves in another person's shoes and humble ourselves, we practice empathy. But how often do we do that? How often do we practice empathy? Singapore is such a fast-paced society, and I'm sure all of us feel that way here in our lives in NUS. But that should not give us the excuse to disrespect another person. That should not give us the excuse to just disrespect them like that. And so empathy has become a serious issue in the past decade. Empathy leads to a series of consequences that could be more serious than we think. And to further illustrate what empathy looks like, let's take a look at this picture. Yeah, you guys can just read it. And this really shows how we misunderstand them and just generalize them into people that commit these crimes. Even though this picture is taken from a website that where critics make posts, I feel that this misconception and overgeneralization can be very prevalent in our thoughts, in a sense where we mistreat them by disrespecting them. So instead of doing that, we should really ask ourselves, what is the importance of migrant workers or construction workers in Singapore? What would it look like without them? We could possibly have no transport, no schools, no homes, and the list just goes on. Hence, we should be concerned. We should move from apathy to empathy. And how should we do that? We should be really willing to really build that cohesion and to be willing to interact with them, to treat them with love, genuine love, and not prejudice. So I'm going to encourage you guys to give the next construction worker you see a smile.
But why stop at giving them a smile when you guys can make them smile as well? So what I'm going to be walking you through is about how you guys can make a difference in the life of the victims we have seen so far. And that is through the concept of volunteerism. So I'm sure you've heard about volunteerism over and over again. I mean, some of y'all are probably in CCAs, which involve CIP and overseas trips for CIP and all. So why are we selling it to you guys? To us, what we feel is that as undergraduates, you guys are seen as the face of the future society. And whatever action you make can make a difference in the future. And what you guys are going to do for these victims are probably going to make a positive impact in their lives as well. So how we're going to do this is through 3 easy steps and 3 different avenues, each one different in the commitment levels and difficulty levels. So I'm going to be walking you through these 3 steps, and each one differing in the way that you will be committed to it. So the first one would be direct intervention. That is the most commitment heavy one. What you guys will be involved in this is to be directly involved in handling cases of foreign workers. So this would mean that you'll be pursuing these reports to ensure that complaints do not get lost in red tape. And this includes handling communications with relevant authorities and even bringing them for medical checkups. So what this does is to remove one of the major barricades in the problems of construction workers. That is the agents and the employers. Because what you are doing is to take the cases almost as if it's your own. And to help make an immediate impact on the lives of such victims, one organization that does this is TWC2, Transient Workers Count 2. What you'll be doing here is to be involved in specific cases of victims that the research team of the organization has put together based on urgency and severity. So following through the journey of these victims, it will definitely prove to be a fulfilling journey because you will see the transition from victim to justice being meted out. And TWC2 is always on the lookout for volunteers to help them in taking up these cases. So if you want to make the most immediate change, direct intervention, which is commitment heavy, yeah, but it's the most immediate change that you can make and it's the most fulfilling journey. So that's direct intervention. Next up would be emotional support systems. Emotional support systems are less intensive in that sense because you'll be handling through call centers or online feedback missionaries. And this is usually the first form of assistance many victims will consult, because sometimes it's just about hearing their problems out and just giving them some advice. And since these programs are usually anonymous, victims are no longer faced with the fear of facing their abusers, and they can confess to you whatever they want to, and you will be able to guide them in the right way to get the help that they need. And some of these interactions could even help solve issues immediately. Like one example is NWC that runs a 24-hour helpline for its volunteers. One example would be the case of a construction worker that the employer had withheld the payment for 6 months, and NWC took up the case, and within 48 hours he got his pay. So it's almost an immediate effect that you guys can effect. And volunteers have worked here, and they describe their experience as very meaningful. So to do your part in making the cries of victims heard, this is the avenue you should be going to. The last one is the least commitment heavy, but probably the most fun. That is social support system. So over the past few years, you've probably seen like storm aunties going to abuse foreign workers and all on the public MRT and all. So this increasing intolerance is largely attributed to the fact that there's almost no assimilation. Like, how often do you guys actually go and talk to foreign construction workers? Or how often do you have a meal with them? So I think none of you would have almost done that yet. So this very interaction, however, will help us understand them better. And it's also empowering in a sense, because they know that they are part of our society, and they know their rights. So that is what this social support system is about. And volunteering at these short-term events is a more viable option for those who are busier, because it's one-off events. So from 2013, about 40 outings have been organized for 2,000 members, and these are all recreational classes such as like yoga, Zumba, and inline dance and all. So all of these are not just for foreign workers. You guys can have fun while you take part in these activities as well. So these kind of programs usually require a lot of aid on the day of the event, because they need a lot of hands on deck to run this kind of large-scale events. So these are the programs that you guys should be taking part in if you want to have fun while making a change. So those are 3 different ways that we wish you guys can start making a change, each differing in commitment level. We all know that we are busy people. We have assignments, we have exams and everything, but these are 3 different ways in which you can match a commitment to help these people. And with that, we hope that you can be the future of our society in making a change in their lives. Thank you.
Thank you.